Hey everybody, this is Games Plus James, and today we're going to take a look at a brand new series where I'm going to show you the basics of how to make a game, because I've been working on my game Portal Knights for the last while, and there's been a lot of people who've been kind of asking would I do a tutorial of some kind, so I thought, here we go, let's do it. So what we're going to do in this first little video is just get the basics of having a character on the screen that can like walk around. So I'll just press the play button here, and see, we've got this little guy who can jump up and down, and there's platforms all around him, and that's what we're going to make first. So let's get this show on the road. Basically what you need to have is Unity, which is what I'm making my game in. If you don't have Unity already, you can go to unity3d.com, and then once it's all loaded up, go to download and just download Unity 4.6.1. It's the latest version. It's free to use. It's free to like publish games and stuff on like that, so it's all good. There is like a pro version that you have to pay for to get certain special features, but that's nothing you need to worry about for making a little 2D game like we're going to go through here. So anyway, go to Unity, and either the first time you start it, or if you click new project here, then what you do is you find a folder, you hit this browse button here, find the folder that you want to put your thing in. You can call the folder anything you want, and basically just have an empty folder wherever on your desktop or whatever place you want to put it. Select that folder there, and on this button down here, you want to set up defaults for 2D is what you want to hit there, and you don't need to have any of these other things ticked. Don't worry about any of them, and then just hit this create button here. So here we go. This is the basic Unity, how things look. The windows might be set up different for you by default. Depends on, I can't remember which are the default Unity settings, but to get them to look this way, you can hit window up here, layouts, and 2x3. See? So then you get it all looking like this. And this is handy and helpful for laying things out and helping you arrange things properly. So the first thing we need to do is we need to set up some places where we're going to keep everything in our game. So in this little section here is basically where all your files and stuff will be kept. So you have a assets folder here, and if you click in this area, if you right click and click create and then folder, we're going to create a few folders here. We're going to create an art one, and as you can see it's been added here automatically. So create another one, scripts, create another one for levels, create another one for prefabs, and I'll go through what all these folders are for as we go through this little first video, and one for materials. So there we go. And before we start doing anything else in the game, the first thing we want to do is hit file and save scene. Scene is kind of equivalent to a level in Unity. So what we'll do, we'll go into our levels folder here that we just created, and we'll just call it level 1. Level 1. Okay, so the first thing we want to do also, there will be a link down below this video to this art file that I'm about to show you. Let's pop this open, see this one here. So basically you just download that and put that wherever you want on your desktop or whatever, and what you do is you just click that and drag it into the art folder. So now we go into art. Look, we have our little thing imported here, and this is going to be holding all our level objects and our character for the next few videos, but we have it here now, and that's the important thing. So as soon as you bring any kind of like bit of art into the game, you need to set it up properly. So everything in this every bit of art in there is set to a certain size, which is this pixels to unit thing is like how Unity recognizes where things are, or how Unity recognizes how big things are. So we need to set that to 16 because our characters are 16 pixels wide, and every block in that little thing is 16 pixels wide. Hit 16. Pivot, that's fine. Filter mode, we need to set this to point so we get nice looking pixels. And we need to set this to 128 because that's the size of the image. You can see it down here, 128 by 128 is the whole square. So we set that to that size. Format to true color so that it all looks proper and good. You can try changing those things around later on. You'll see like the effect that they have on your own thing. and change this to multiple. So, and then hit the apply button here. Then then the first thing we need to do then is we need to divide up that whole big massive image here into like little bits and pieces. So we hit this sprite editor button here, and as you can see, look, we've got a green dude, a red dude, we've got a block, we've got some spikes and other things that we don't need to worry about all them things yet. But right now what we're going to do is, if you scroll using your scroll wheel or whatever, you'll zoom in, and then if you right click, and you can drag things around. So hold right click, and if you go up here and left click and drag, you'll make a box around the character. And see, you let go and it'll do this little thing here. So this is going to be our player, so we're going to rename this thing here to player and hit enter, and then here is going to be our ground. So we'll make another box. As you can see, I made it a tiny bit too small, so you can just grab the corners and you can drag it up and down, and that's helpful. And then we're just going to call this ground, and then hit apply. So now what that does is it creates two little bits of art that we can use in the game. And if you hit this little arrow button beside the picture, then see, you can see there's two little things here. So what we're going to do is drag that into our game. So we'll grab him, pop him down there. Ooh, we got our little dude. We'll grab the ground, pop that down there, and we've got some ground. So look, it's already looking like a game. We've got a character, we've got something for him to walk on, but we need him to actually do some stuff. And at the moment, if we hit play on the game, nothing happens. See, they just both float there. There's nothing going on. We need more than that happening. It's not a very interesting game if it's just like that. So go back out of that, and then what we're going to do is select the ground and press this add component button. And I'm just going to delete that bit there. And we want to add a collider to the box so that things can bounce off each other and bang against each other and all that fun stuff. So if we go to physics 2D and then box collider 2D, if we zoom in on this guy here, you can zoom in and out with the scroll wheel, and you can use the right click again to drag the view around the place. So if we zoom in, it's kind of hard to see, but there's now a green outline around this box, and that means that it has a collider around it. And then if we do the same on, if we click on player here, so we have them selected, and then we do the same thing, except we're not going to add a box collider. This time we're going to go physics 2D and add a circle collider so that he can interact with the world. And we want to make this a little bit smaller. Just from me messing around, I know that you have to make it 3.365 is the size you want to make that, right? And then you also want to add to this guy a thing called, you need to go physics 2D again and add a rigid body 2D. And this basically gives him like gravity and stuff like that. As you can see here, gravity, scale, mass, and all this stuff. Again, stuff you can fiddle around with and mess with all you want. But what's important here is to hit fixed angle and make sure that has a tick on it. So that'll make him always stay standing upright. He won't fall over or roll away, which is not what we want to happen. But now if we hit the play button, ta-da, he falls down. Of course he doesn't move or anything because we haven't done anything into the game for that yet, but if you click up here and drag him up in the air, he'll fall down like a real little person. You can drag him over here and oh no, he falls forever. And then we hit unplay. I don't know what unplay means. You stop the game. So this isn't very exciting. Obviously we need somewhere for the player to run around, so we'll make a few little bits of ground here will be helpful. So if you hit the ground thing, and if you click on this little blue box here, you can drag this around to wherever you want. So we'll just put it there, say. And then if you click back on here, so this is highlighted blue, and if you hit Control and D, it'll create an exact duplicate of the same object again. And then if you hold Control and then click on this red arrow, it'll move it along in little blocks. It'll move along at the exact width of each block, because we set the pixel thing to be 16 for 1 unit. It'll move 1 whole unit every time. If you didn't hold Control, it'd be a lot smoother kind of moving, but it's harder to line it up properly. So if you just hold Control and create that one, and we'll do that a few times. So Control and D, then hold Control and drag, Control and D, hold Control and drag, Control and D, and then also we can grab, if we click one and then hold Shift, and it'll select a big group of them, and we'll do the same thing again, Control and D, and then Control and drag. So look, now we've got a little bit of ground. Let's well, if you click and drag as well, you can also select multiple ones. So again, Control and D, we'll drag that over there, and we'll drag it up one. We'll do Control and D again. We'll make a little, oh, I shouldn't have done that. We'll make it go like this. You can press Control and Z to undo things, the same as you can with any other program in the whole world, really. And we'll click do again, and we'll drag it over here and down. So there we go. We got a little bit of a ground to work on here now. So now we've got a little bit of an environment for our player, but he doesn't control anything. He doesn't do anything. We've no interactions in the world. So we're going to do a little bit of scripting and writing some code. Now I'm going to keep this super simple and super easy because I'm not here to teach you all about programming. There's a million different ways to learn programming out there, but we'll cover like super basic things. So, sorry, I went ahead and clicked on this thing. I shouldn't have done that. Delete that. That took a while to delete. So, what we do is we'll, back in our assets thing over here, we'll click on the script folder, because we want to keep everything nicely organized. And click on the area beside that, you right click on that and hit create C# script. C# is a type of programming language. You can use different languages in Unity, but C# is the one that I use, and the one that I know, and the one that's kind of the most powerful and helpful. So we're going to rename this to player controller, and then hit enter, and then double click on that to open it, and it'll just take a couple of seconds to open up. And then you get this. This is MonoDevelop, which is a program that comes with Unity. You can use other things to edit as well, but this is the default thing, so we're going to use this here. So basically, you don't really need to worry about what all this stuff does, all this stuff up here and all this stuff here. But we've got these two little things here called void start and void update. And basically they're like the order of the way things happen in the game. Start is something that happens the exact moment that the level loads or the character is created or whatever. And then update happens every single frame. So like there could be between 30 to 60 frames per second, and that means this little, whatever you put between this bracket, these two brackets here, will happen 30 or 60 times a second, whatever you want to imagine in the whole world. But so what we want to do is create movement for our character. We want him to be able to move left to right, and we want him to be able to jump up in the air. So the first thing we'll do is go up here above start, but below this line about player controller and mono behavior, and we'll just press enter a couple of times to bring things down, and we want to create some variables that the game will interact with and make magical things happen. So we'll type in public float, and public means that like anything in the game can access it, and within the program you'll be able to adjust numbers yourself. Float is a type of numbers, so you have floats are numbers that have like 7.5 or 7.6 or a million point 37 or whatever. You can also have ints, which are just whole numbers, so you can only be like 7, 3, 27, whatever. So we're going to call this public float move speed, which will control how fast our character moves. And we're going to create another one called public float jump height, like that. Okay, so now we've got these two things. Those are numbers that we're going to be able to set from within Unity, but we're not going to worry about setting them yet. What we're going to do is determine how our character is controlled and how he moves. So we want him to be able to jump. So we go if, and then we make these little brackets. The way things are structured is you have if, you have these curly normal brackets, and then you have curly brackets like this. So in this little section here is like where you input questions basically. So if input dot get key down, then you put another little set of curly brackets, and then within that you put in key code dot space, and that means it'll check for when the space bar is pressed down. That's what that little section of code there does. And so then if we just press enter and press enter from inside those two brackets, so now what it does is it goes, if this little situation is true, if input that key down space is pressed, then it'll run whatever we put in here. So we go rigid body, which is the thing that we just added to this guy. Hold on, let me go to player. So player, see we have a rigid body 2D that we added. So to be able to interact with that, we go if blah 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 rigid body 2D dot velocity, and the velocity is the speed that the player is moving at, and it happens from left to right, which is the X value, and up and down, which is the Y value. So we want to set that velocity whenever someone presses the jump button, we want the velocity upwards to be set to our jump height. So we go rigid body 2D dot velocity is equal to new vector 2. So vector 2 is basically just a number that holds an X and a Y value. It has two inputs, and that's all you need to know really. So it has an X and a Y value. So we go new vector 2 and we create these little curly brackets again, and then within that we have two values. So when we press jump, we don't want that to affect your character moving left to right. So the X value will be 0. But we do want it to affect how much your player is jumping. So we'll put the Y value. See the way it helpfully puts a float Y when you move in position. Sometimes it does that, sometimes it doesn't. But we want that to be the jump height. So we type in jump height here. And there you go. And then we move over here. And it's important to always end every sentence with this little thing here. Every like statement has to end with that. Just in case you don't know anything about C#. So anyway, this little bit of code here, let's test that out in the game. Oh, I hit Control and S to save there. Sometimes this little message will come up, but if it does, just hit convert and it'll be fine. And we go back to the game. You see this little spinny icon here. That means that the script that you just typed is compiling, and you have to wait for that to finish, and then you can hit the play button. So we hit play here. Oh no, we won't hit play, sorry. Go back to this bit. We create a script, but when you create a script and you want to actually do something with it, you have to attach it to the object that you want it to work on. So we have our player here. What we want to do is go add component, and then go to scripts and player controller was the one we just created. So look, now we have these two numbers that we created inside. Move speed we won't worry about yet, but jump height, just from my playing around with this thing earlier on, we want to set the jump height to 15, and we actually want to set the gravity scale to 5, and I'll show you why that is now in a second. But now if we hit the play button, once it starts running, look, we can jump up and down. We still can't move left to right obviously, but we can jump up and down. The gravity scale that I just set, if we put that back to 1, you'll see that, oh, he's jumping way too high, and he's kind of not moving very fast as well. So we could bring the jump height down nice and low, so change that to 5 and jump, and see he just kind of falls too slowly. So what I find is if you put up the gravity scale and put up the jumping power, basically, you hit space, look, it looks like he's kind of jumping much more naturally and realistic. So I find that that's good for the game, but you can fiddle around with these numbers and find what you think works best for whatever you're working on. And it's important to remember as well, if you make changes to anything while the game is running, when you say if I change this to 200, that's crazy. He's jumping like a mad thing. But if you change that there and then stop playing the game, the values will all return to what their original thing was. See, that's gone back to 15. So now if I press play again, once it starts running, See, he's just back to doing that again. So now we have him jumping, we need him to move side to side. So let's go here, and we can copy this whole section basically. If we select it all, Control and C, Control and V, just copy it all, because we can reuse a lot of this. And it's important to always kind of try and reuse the same bits whenever you can. Save yourself some time. So we're going to move left and right using A and D to kind of the normal kind of, like if you play first person shooter games or anything like that, those are the kind of controls that you will be used to using. But so that's what we're going to use here. So key code dot A is what we're going to use to move. No, we're going to do moving right first. So keycode.d is what moves you right, and then rigidbody2d.velocity. So last time we had 0 for the x value because we didn't want to affect him moving side to side, and we had jump height to make him jump up. So this time we're going to get 0 on jump height because moving left to right, we don't want to make him move up and down. And then here, instead of 0, we're going to use move speed. So move speed. So what that'll do is basically when you press D, it'll go, okay, well, what's our move? Are we moving? No, move speed. Go. And then we're going, oh no, sorry, what am I doing? I'm making no sense. We'll copy that exact bit of stuff again, but this time we're going to be moving left. So say this move speed, we set that to 5. So then when you're press your D button to move right, you're adding velocity. So you're adding 5 to make yourself go to the right. But if we want to go to the left, we want to go at a minus velocity. So rather than having to add another number or anything like that, and we have to specify it, we can just go minus move speed. So if that's 5, then this bit will become automatically minus 5, which is helpful. Super handy, super easy. That's the best thing about Unity. There's lots of things that are super easy. And most importantly, it's very easy to learn Unity. There's so many resources out there for you to learn how to do anything. But yes, let's hit the play button now. Oh no, we need to give him move speed, most importantly, or else we won't be able to move anything at all. So we're going to set this to 5 and then hit that play button. And look, we can move kind of slightly, I don't know. He's only moving a tiny little bit. Oh, I know why he's only moving a tiny little bit. See, this is the thing. Sometimes you do silly things. So if you wanted to do this would be perfectly fine. If you wanted your character to only move one little bit every time you press the button, that would be fine. You could do that. But what you really want is you hold the button down, you should move lots. But unfortunately, because I just copied the code and didn't think about it, we don't want get key down. What we want is just get key. Because what get key down does is it only triggers that one time that the button is first pressed. But what we want is for it to happen every time the button is being pressed down. So that's why you do get key. So we'll do get key for both of them. Hit the save button again. And once it finishes compiling down the corner here, we hit play. And there you go, look, now we can move side to side, we can walk along. But we've got a problem. We can't jump. There's nothing happening. And when we do jump, we can just kind of fall down all weird. And that's because when we set it to 0, I set it to 0 just to make it nice and simple. But we don't want it just, because if we set it to 0, then it's saying that like, oh, you can't fall, you can't jump, anything like that. So what we actually want it to be is instead of 0, we want to take the value that the player already has and just not change that. So what we want to do is rigid body. See, once you start typing something as well, it'll create like a little shortcut thing, so you can use up and down to switch between different things. So we want to go rigid body 2D here. Rigid body dot velocity dot y, and that'll get the value that the character already has when he's moving up and down or anything like that. So we want to get rigidbody2d.velocity.y and copy that and replace it here. And here, rather than being 0, what we want is rigidbody2d.velocity.x. So then the x value is being replaced, and now we'll head back to the game. Hit the play button. And there we go. Look, now our character can jump up and down. He can go crazy places. He can do anything he wants to do. He can jump on all these things up and down all over here. And look, he can even make it up here. But the only problem now is you can hit space as many times as you want and that player is going to go crazy. So that's something we're going to deal with in the next video. We're going to make sure that our character can only jump when he's like on the ground. When you know he's on the ground, that's when he can go wee, jumping up and down. But that's an episode or an issue for another episode. So yes, here we go. This is the first episode of this little series. Kind of went on a bit longer than I thought, but that's okay, because hopefully it'll be useful for all you guys out there. And if you want to see more in this series and see more of how to make a 2D game all for yourself, then yes, leave some comments down below, hit that like button, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. But thanks for watching. I'm Games Plus James. This is Unity, and this is a little green jumping guy. Woo!